What's going on, guys? HK Titan here with a brand new video for you guys. But first things first, as always, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. So in today's video, I have something new planned for you guys, and we'll be jumping into a in-depth hero tier list. But before we jump into the tier list, I want you guys to know that I'm going to be trying a little bit of a different style of recording. So please feel free to let me know in the comments below if you guys enjoyed it or if you guys didn't like it. Because as you guys know, I'm always trying to create better and better content for you guys because I want to make your viewing experience as best as I possibly can. On top of that, with this tier list, I will be breaking it down into two parts, and the only reason why I'm breaking it down into two parts is because if I didn't, this tier list would be over an hour long. But anyways, guys, now that I went ahead and covered that, please forgive me for breaking it into two parts, but let's go ahead and jump straight into it. Starting off our list is none other than the legend himself, Quincy. Right off the bat, I think it goes without saying, and if you guys have been around the channel for a while, you guys should already know this, but Quincy is and always will be the best boy. But aside from that, while Quincy is the starting hero in BTD6, he is hands down one of the best heroes in the game, since you can pretty much use him on every single map, and that's including the expert maps as well. So let's go ahead and jump into a few notes about Quincy real quick. Quincy's price in hard mode sits around 585, meaning that you can pretty much afford him in every single game mode except for half cash mode, but let's face it, who actually enjoys playing that mode? But anyways, Quincy's level 3 ability Rapid Shot triples Quincy's attack speed, and at level 15 it actually quadruples it. At level 5, Quincy will be able to passively see camo balloons. At level 7, every third shot that Quincy fires will be explosive, meaning that he has the potential to pop lead balloons, but at the same time, it's not a reliable way to pop leads. So just keep that in mind, just in case your towers do end up missing a couple of leads. Quincy does have the chance to help those towers out. So at level 8, he does triple damage against Moab balloons and quad damage to Moab balloons as soon as he hits level 14. At level 11, he unlocks his Storm Arrow ability, which covers a massive area with arrows, popping most balloons depending on his level, of course. And these are just a few of the important notes about Quincy, and while Quincy doesn't really synergize too well with very many towers in BTD6, he definitely is a great addition to your team. This being said, I'm going to go ahead and have to rank Quincy as an A-class hero, because Quincy, let's face it, he's a hero that you can rely on to do his job. Next up is Gwendolyn. While Gwen is one of the heroes you unlock at the start of BTD6, she is quickly outclassed by other heroes in the game. First thing to note is her attack is fire-based, which means she is able to passively pop lead balloons, but when it comes to purple balloons, her attack is actually not able to hit those, so she does need a little bit of support in order to pop them. So a few notes about Gwen is she does cost 970 on hard mode, meaning she is not able to be afforded at the start of most game modes. At level 3, she unlocks her Cocktail of Fire, which will randomly be placed on a track. Also, this ability can hit camo balloons. At level 4, she gains a passive ability called Heat It Up, which creates a blast around her, popping balloons. Also, this ability gives nearby towers the ability to pop lead balloons as well. Also, it increases their pierce by 1 for 8 seconds. This ability only happens after Gwen shoots 40 shots. At level 10, Gwen gains the ability called Firestorm, which sets the whole map on fire, giving the Heat It Up ability to all towers on the map. Also, it pretty much hits every single balloon as well. Similar to Quincy, Gwen really doesn't have any towers that she synergizes well with, meaning that you can pretty much add Gwen to any tower composition. A side note, I do think Gwen does need a little bit of a minor rework, which would allow her to grant global lead popping power similar to Etienne's camo detection, just with lead popping power instead. And Ninja Kiwi could even make it so it's balanced to where Gwen wouldn't be able to unlock it until she hit level 13 or level 15, and it would still drastically improve the tower. Even though Gwen does have some pretty powerful attacks and she does level up quite quickly, I'm going to go ahead and rank Gwen as a B-class hero due to the fact that she's quickly outclassed by other heroes, and she really doesn't have a lot of synergy with other towers, and also she is a little bit more on the expensive side. So that's going to do it for Gwen. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Moving on to Striker Jones. What can I say? I'm not a big fan of this tower because he's pretty much useless under most circumstances. But even though I say that, he still is a pretty good hero for newer players to use. First things first, Striker Jones is unable to pop black balloons. and Striker is best used in conjunction with bomb shooters or mortar monkeys. This being said, Striker Jones is best known for the Mauler strat, which consists of placing down a 4-2-0 village surrounded by 2-3-0 bomb shooters, aka the Moab Mauler, with a 2-0-4 and a 4-2-0 bomb shooter used as support. I'm personally not a big fan of this strat because it's kind of a lame strat. It just involves spamming down as many Moab Maulers as you can until round 100. But like I said, it is a legitimate strategy that is pretty good for newer players to use. A few notes about Striker is he does cost 815, meaning that he cannot be placed on round 1 in all hard difficulties. Striker Jones is also meant to be more of a support hero due to the amount of buffs that he provides the mortars and the bomb shooters, so he shouldn't be used as a reliable tower for popping balloons. So, at level 3, he unlocks his concussive shell, which stuns all types of balloons, excluding the bad balloons of course, and this ability has an extremely short cooldown and gets shorter the more he levels. At level 5, he weakens black balloons, giving explosive towers a 50% chance to pop them, and at level 19, it actually removes the black balloons' invulnerability to explosives. At level 10, he unlocks Artillery Command, which resets bomb shooters and mortar monkeys' ability cooldowns. And finally, at level 20, when Artillery Command is activated, it actually doubles all bomb shooters and mortar monkeys' damage. The downside of using Striker Jones with the Moab Maulers is it does require a massive area to spam down all of the bomb shooters, so just keep that in mind if you plan on using the strat. So, after all of this, it pains me to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and play Striker Jones as our first S-Class hero because again, this tier list is meant to help out newer players. So there we have it for Striker. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Moving on to Captain Churchill, the big boy tower. While I personally don't use this tower, I will admit by far he is the strongest hero out of all of the heroes in BTD6, but with great power definitely comes some great downsides. While he is the strongest hero, he does level the slowest. If I remember correctly, in chimps, he's only actually able to make it to level 13 or 14 by round 100 unless you invest some money into him. But the slow leveling isn't all that bad because you can, or if you pair Churchill with a overclock engineer, the overclock ability will actually have a higher uptime. A few notes, Churchill costs a whopping $2,160 on hard mode, meaning that even with double cash mode enabled, you will not be able to afford him for quite a few rounds, unless you use him on easy mode with double cash enabled. Okay, so Churchill will not be able to hit black balloons when he is initially placed, so ensure you have a tower to support him at the beginning. Also, in the later rounds, he cannot pop the DDT balloons, so it's best to add a MIB to Churchill. So onto the important levels. At level 3, he gains the ability Armor Piercing Shells, which allows him to pop black balloons and increases his ceramic and Moab damage. At level 5, Churchill gains a machine gun, which will allow him to pop black balloons with his machine gun. At level 6, Churchill gains the passive ability to pop camo balloons, and at level 10, he gains the ability Moab Barrage, which launches a barrage of missiles at up to 10 Moabs on the map. Just be careful with this ability in the late game because it can bring a massive wave of ceramic balloons that can be a little bit overwhelming to your towers. So I'm not going to list any more because odds are you won't be able to see them because he levels so slow. As far as synergy, Churchill is a one-man show, but if you want to pair him with other towers, it's best to pair him with a MIB and a overclock. After all of this, even though he is the strongest hero in the game, I'm going to go ahead and rank him as a C-class hero. And like I said, I do know he's the strongest hero in the game, but he's definitely outclassed by a bunch of other heroes, especially since there's so many heroes in Bloons Tower Defense 6. So hopefully you guys understand why I placed him as a C-class hero. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Next up is one of my personal favorite heroes and the hero that I probably used the most, playing over 900 games with this hero. And that hero is going to be Oben Greenfoot. Where to start? So, Oben is a magic based hero, meaning that purple balloons are immune to his attacks, and also Oben cannot see camo balloons either. But he does have a couple of positive notes, and they are he is not limited by obstacles on the map, meaning that he can shoot through walls. Also, his attack has a homing ability that will seek out balloons and pop up to 4 of them before it disappears, making this an extremely strong attack. Similar to Striker Jones, Oben does have a strategy that he synergizes very well with, and that strategy is called the Druid Strat, which consists of buying 6 0-4 Druids all within range of Oben and each other, buffing them with a 2-2-0 Village, and then 2 4-2-0 Alchemist, saving up from that point to buy a 0-5 Avatar of Wrath, upgrading the village to a MIB, and then finishing things off with a Permaspike. So this strategy is definitely something that I would recommend to newer players because it does allow quite a bit of leniency when it comes to making some mistakes. So, onto the juicy part. At level 2, he grants Druids in range +1 Pierce with Nature's Wrath. At level 3, he gains a Bramble ability, which when placed, this ability can actually pop Camo Balloons. At level 4, he gains Nature's Ward, which will slow balloons down by 30% and will randomly be placed on the track. At level 10, he gains his Wall of Trees, which can be used to store balloons. An important note is you will not receive any money from the stored balloons until the tree is destroyed or you activate the ability again. Also, this ability can suck up a Moab balloon. At level 11, Oben gains his most important ability called Nature's Clarity, which buffs all magic monkeys in range, granting +5 to range and +2 to pierce. But the druids do get a little bit of a bonus here, and the druids actually get +3 opposed to +2. At level 15, the brambles can pop any balloon type, and at level 20, the wall of trees can store even more balloons. Which, after all of this, I think Oben is a very strong hero for newer players to use due to lead popping power. Even though the druid is best paired with the druids, he isn't limited to only the druids, because remember, he also buffs all magic towers. And at the same time, it's my opinion that the magic towers are some of the strongest towers in the game, and then the military monkeys are a close second. So I'm not going to give Oben an S-class rating, but I will give him a respectable A rank, which I do think is well deserved simply because he is such a flexible hero. Moving on to Benjamin. Right off the bat, Benjamin is going to be another support tower and the only hero on the list that should not be used in chimps mode, because Benjamin is mainly used to generate money and restore lost lives in the process. But just because he's a money machine, he also has some offensive support abilities that can make your life a little bit easier while playing the game, especially in half cash mode. So let's go ahead and take a look at the notes. So Benjamin costs a whopping 1,295 dollarinos in hard mode. So it's not the cheapest hero, but he will make the money back in no time because he does give bonus money at the end of the round from $100 at level 1 up to $800 at level 17. And even more money from balloons, making him an absolute money machine. At level 3, Ben gains his biohack ability, which for 6 seconds grants +1 damage to the nearest 4 monkeys, but do be warned, the monkeys affected will be disabled for 2 seconds when the ability ends. At level 6, he gains cybersecurity, restoring 5 lives at the end of the round up to 100 lives, and at level 14 it's increased to 200, making him the best hero for Odyssey events. At level 7, he gains Bloons Trojan, which will cause the affected balloons or Moabs to pop instantly with no balloons being spawned after being popped. At level 10, he gains the ability Siphon Funding, which for 10 seconds, any balloons that spawn will be downgraded. So, for example, a ZOMG will be downgraded to a BFB, and so on and so forth. But this effect does not affect DDT balloons or bad balloons. But at level 18, the Bloons Trojan can affect BFBs, DDTs, and Camo Balloons. So, Benjamin doesn't have any specific strategies that he's used best with, but he does work pretty well in conjunction with Monkey Banks because Benjamin also buffs Banks. And he's also a hero that I would recommend using because of the amount of money that he can provide. So, as far as the rank, I'm going to go ahead and give Benjamin an S-class rank because it does give players more money to play with, and the Trojan ability can be super helpful in certain game modes. Like I already said, it makes half cash mode a lot easier. Next up on the chopping block is gonna be Zilli. Zilli is going to be another powerhouse hero similar to Churchill, but she's a powerhouse for a little bit of a different reason. Zilli is the only hero that has a DOT effect, aka a damage over time attack, which is solid for longer maps, especially when Zilli is a little bit of a lower level because she'll have a longer time to actually do damage to the balloons. Much similar to Churchill, Zilli levels extremely slow, meaning that she will not be able to reach level 20 before round 100 unless you invest a little bit of money into her. So because of this, I would not recommend this hero to newer players. Even though she is a super strong hero, there are many other better options. Zilli has a very slow attack speed when first placed, and she only attacks one balloon at a time with the DOT effect. Also, Zilli is unable to target purple balloons unless she is being buffed by a MIB. So now onto the important stuff. Zilli is another cheap hero costing $650 on hard modes, making her tied with Sada for the second cheapest hero in BTD6. And of course, Quincy's going to be the first. Zilli also has some pretty gnarly abilities and is better used as a support tower when initially placed. So at level 3, Zilli gains the Heartstopper ability, which stops the regrow effect on balloons globally for 6 seconds and then 15 seconds once she hits level 12. At level 7, Zilli gains a Sacrificial Totem, which generates a totem that grants extra pierce, range, attack, projectile speed, and camo damage to all nearby towers for 30 seconds. And then it gets buffed up to 60 seconds once she hits level 16. But with this massive buff, there is a little bit of a cost, and it does cost the player 10 lives. But with this ability, you do not go below 1 lives. So if you guys have 1 life left and you activate the totem, you guys will not instantly lose. So on to level 10, Zilli gains her most notable ability, which is called the Moab Hex, which targets every type of Moab except bad balloons, dealing 4% of the target's maximum health every second. At level 10, her Moab Hex can now affect bad balloons, and it's raised from 4% up to 5%. Due to Zilli having the Moab Hex, I would recommend using Zilli if you ever want to go to hyper late game, or which basically means past round 100, and use her with the Vengeful Sun God. While Zilli is a powerhouse in the late game with her Moab Hex, I would not recommend her to newer players due to the amount of game knowledge it requires to use her efficiently. So because of this, I'm going to go ahead and place Zilli, and I'm sorry guys, as our first E-Class hero. So sorry to all of you Zilli fans out there, but like I said, this tier list is geared more towards newer players. So because it's geared towards newer players, there's definitely a lot of better options out there. But sadly, that's going to do it for part 1. Please feel free to let me know in the comments below if you agree so far, or if there's a couple of heroes that you would either rank higher or lower on the tier list. But anyways guys, if you enjoyed the tier list so far and you're excited for part 2, please feel free to drop a like. Also, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to subscribe as well. That way you don't miss out on part 2 of the hero tier list. But anyways guys, again, thank you so much for watching, but you guys know what time it is. I hope you guys have the most amazing day of your lives, and I will see you guys in the next one.